I was working as a tour guide in Rome. A British couple in their 50s were on my walking tour of the Colosseum. The husband raised his hand and asked very seriously, "Excuse me, what time do the gladiators come out?" I thought he was joking, so I laughed. He didn't laugh back. He said, "We've paid for this tour and we were told we'd see gladiators." I gently explained that gladiator fights ended about 2,000 years ago. His wife looked genuinely disappointed and said, "Well, that's false advertising then, isn't it?" They left a TripAdvisor review complaining that the Colosseum was just an empty ruin and not worth the money. I work at a hotel reception in Barcelona. A British woman checked in and immediately asked, "Do you have any rooms that face England?" I wasn't sure what she meant, so I asked her to clarify. She said, "I want a room with a view toward home, so I can see England from the balcony." I explained that England is over 1,000 miles away across land and sea, and you can't see it from Barcelona. She looked at me like I was being deliberately unhelpful and said, "Well, can you at least put me in a room facing north then? I want to be pointed in the right direction." She spent the entire week complaining that she felt disoriented. I was a waiter at a restaurant in Paris. A British man asked me for the menu in English. I brought him one. He looked at it, scoffed, and said, "This is still in French. The prices are in euros." I wanted in proper English with pounds. I explained that France uses euros, not pounds. He got quite irritated and said, "But we invented money, didn't we? You'd think they'd have the decency to use our currency." His wife added, We've been coming to France for years and it's always been difficult. Why don't they just switch over to make it easier for everyone?" They left without ordering. I work at a tourist information desk in Amsterdam. A British woman asked me where she could find a proper cup of tea, like from home. I suggested several cafes. She cut me off and said, No, I mean real tea, with a kettle and a tea bag, not this foreign nonsense." I assured her that Dutch cafes serve tea with kettles and tea bags. She shook her head and said, "It won't taste right though, will it? The water's different here. Can I bring my own kettle from England? Or will your electricity break it?" I explained the plug adapter situation. She looked horrified and said, "So you're telling me I can't even make a proper brew on holiday? What's the point of coming here then?" I was a ski instructor in the French Alps. A British family arrived for their lesson. The father asked me, "Is the snow real or is it that fake stuff they use at indoor ski centres?" I told him it was real snow. He looked sceptical and said, "But it's too white. It doesn't look natural. British snow is more grey. This looks artificial." His teenage son chimed in, "Yeah, and it's too cold. Can't you turn the temperature up a bit?" I explained that we can't control the weather or the temperature on a mountain. The father said, "Well, in England, they'd sort that out. This is poor customer service." I work at a museum in Berlin. A British couple asked me if we had any exhibits about the war. I said, "Yes, we have extensive World War II exhibitions." The man said, "Oh, brilliant, so you've got stuff about how we won, right?" I explained that the museum presents the German perspective as well. He looked confused and said, "But we beat them, so why would we need their side of the story?" His wife added, "We learned about this in school. We already know what happened. Do you have anything about the royal family instead?" I told them this was a German history museum. They left, muttering that it was biased. I was working at a beach bar in Greece. A British woman came up to me, bright red from sunburn, and asked, "Why is your sun so much stronger than the British sun? Is it a different sun?" I explained that Greece is further south, so the UV rays are more intense. She shook her head and said, "No, that doesn't make sense. The sun is the sun. I think you lot just don't regulate it properly. In England, the sun is safe. Your sun is dangerous." She then asked if we had any British sun cream because she didn't trust the Greek stuff. I offered her aloe vera for the burn. She declined, saying she'd just have a cup of tea. Instead, that fixes everything. I work at a train station in Brussels. A British man approached me after Brexit and asked, "Now that we've left the EU, do I need a visa to be here?" I explained the visa situation for UK tourists post-Brexit. He interrupted me and said, "But I'm British, we don't do visas, that's for foreigners." I tried to explain that he was now a foreigner in Belgium. He got quite offended and said, "I've been coming to Europe for 30 years. I'm not a foreigner. You're in Europe. I'm just visiting from Britain. That's different." He then asked if he still had to pay in euros or if Brexit meant he could use pounds now. When I said euros, he muttered, "Typical EU, still trying to control us." I was a tour guide at the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam. A British woman halfway through the tour raised her hand and asked, "Is this the actual house or is it a replica?" I confirmed it was the actual house where Anne Frank hid. She looked around and said, "Well, it's a bit small, isn't it? Couldn't they have used a bigger house for the tour?" I explained that this was the real historical site, not a recreation. She said yes, but for tourism purposes, Wouldn't it make more sense to build a bigger version so more people can fit? Her husband agreed, saying, yeah, like they do with Stonehenge. I had to inform him that Stonehenge is also the real thing. He didn't believe me. I work at a pharmacy in Portugal. A British man came in and asked if we sold British medicine. I asked what he needed. He said, just regular medicine, like paracetamol, but the British kind, not the foreign kind. I showed him paracetamol made by a Portuguese company. He refused it, saying, I don't trust it. It's not been approved in England, has it? I explained that EU regulations mean medicines are approved across Europe. He said, but we're not in the EU anymore, so this could be dangerous. Do you have anything from Boots? I told him Boots is just a shop, not a medicine manufacturer. He left in a huff and said he'd rather suffer than take foreign drugs. I was working at a restaurant in Prague. A British couple sat down and asked, before we order, do you accept English money? I told them we use Czech crowns. The man looked annoyed and said, but you're in Europe, we're in Europe, it should all be the same money. I explained that the Czech Republic doesn't use the euro. He said, well, that's inconvenient, isn't it? We've come all this way and you don't even take pounds. His wife asked, can't you just accept our money and sort out the exchange rate yourself? Seems like bad business not to take the most important currency in the world. They ended up paying with a card and complained the entire meal about how backward Prague was. I work at a gondola service in Venice. A British man asked me, how often do you drain the canals to clean them? I explained that we don't drain the canals, they're connected to the lagoon and the sea. He looked horrified and said, so you're telling me this water has just been sitting here, dirty, for centuries? That's disgusting. Don't you have health and safety regulations? In England, they'd shut this place down. His wife asked, is it safe to be on the water then? Will we catch something? I assured them it was perfectly safe. The man said, I don't know, love, maybe we should just take a bus instead. If you've enjoyed this collection of British tourist brilliance, do us a favour, give it a like and subscribe for more. There's plenty more where this came from. Cheers.